Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is 10 reasons why we better be watching for a food shortage coming in April 25. Now, I know I look at the news like you do, plus all your other emails that come. By the way, thank you for sending your emails to me. And Trump is doing so much good, it's hard to believe anything bad is going to be happening anytime soon. But I've got some information here I think you're going to want to hear. Okay, first of all, many prophecies, I've been through them many times, I have to go through them again. Many prophecies say that there's a food shortage coming, but they don't tell us what causes it. They say it arrives without warning. They see people nicely dressed. They see a panic, their credit cards don't work, shelves go empty in minutes, and the people are fighting in the grocery stores over the food. I know, right now it doesn't look like that's anytime close. But with what I'm about to share with you, it could be. Realistically, in April of 25, this could, matter of fact, there are several things that could cause a food shortage. Okay, first of all, this is January 20th. This is one of the first of the executive orders that President Trump signed, declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. Okay, so I don't see food shortage in that. Hang on. So it says a national emergency exists at the southern border of the United States. Okay, we agree with that. But could there be something more that's in that sentence? I hereby declare that this national emergency requires the use of armed forces. Wait a minute. Okay, we agree with that because we want the border sealed. But did we also consider that that could also be loosing the armed forces to do a bunch of massive arrests? And I tell you the truth, I didn't. Not until I got an email that sent me over to an article I'm about to show you. It goes on to say the Insurrection Act of 1807, however, gives the president emergency powers to use the military against citizens during times of civil disorder, insurrection, or rebellion. Well, he's declared that what happened at the southern border is already a national emergency. That means, right now, that the president can use military against American citizens. Now, we don't want that used against us. I don't think he's going to use it against the good people. I think he's about to use it against the bad people. Watch. Look at the very bottom line. So January 20th, 2025 is when this was signaled. But now let's back up. I should have highlighted this, but the third paragraph down, let's read that. Essentially, in the order, he directs the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of Homeland Security to submit a joint report to the President about whether he should invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807 within 90 days. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is what gives him the extra power to use the military, not just at the southern border, basically any place he wants to. All right, now, bottom left corner of the green, January 20, 2025, plus 90 days is April 20th, 2025. So that means that if this report comes out and says that there's cause for him to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807, which would give him emergency powers to use the military against American citizens. Could this be that any time after April 20th we should start seeing the massive arrests? Now, I don't know. God has not told me. But I'm a watchman. You're a watchman. We're doing our best to try to figure out what is going on, even though God doesn't give us all the pieces of the puzzle. There's more. All right. What could cause riots? What could cause food shortages? Okay, first of all, Fort Knox. We've talked about this. So if President Trump goes in here shortly, as he says he is, with cameras rolling, live streaming his walk into Fort Knox, and there's 5 possibilities, 4 of the possibilities are not good. But for whatever reason, the report comes out of Fort Knox, not good. All of a sudden, what could happen? That could mean that he has to devalue the dollar. Maybe not all of the gold that they're expecting to be there is not there. Maybe not out of those. But anyway, it's a bad report. That could authorize him to devalue the dollar, as the prophecies say. It goes down 30%, down 30%, worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. That could cause it. That could happen by the end of April. Do I know that? No, I don't know. We don't want that to happen. All I'm saying is, don't sit back and watch your TV and think, oh, well, Trump is going to fix everything. Matter of fact, you see this behind me? That's an interview Trump did saying that he is going to hold these bad guys accountable. On to the next one. So Trump devalues the dollar and decides that the dollar is now going to be gold backed. Well, down the road, that'd be good. But immediately, that might cause a panic. That might cause people to run into the grocery stores and fight for the groceries. That also might cut off the credit cards. See what I'm saying? On to the next one. So the feds try to come out with CDCC, or CBDC, their version of the digital currency, but Trump has already trumped them. He's already come out with an executive order, said that there's not going to be any CBDC in America or any of the parts where America controls it, like the dollar is controlled. Okay, so what happens? So there's a big fight between the feds and Trump. All of a sudden, the dollar down 30%, 30%, zero. See what I'm saying? There's a lot of things. What I'm trying to say is, don't sit there in your easy chair thinking, oh, well, Trump's going to fix everything. I think he's trying to fix everything, but I also think the devil has been controlling this world since Adam and Eve ate of the fruit. And he is not going to give it up until the final vial is poured out into the air and heard a voice from the throne saying, it is finished. The kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord and his Christ. Until that happens, the devil owns this world. On to the next one. And then there's Saudi Arabia selling oil in yuan. Remember, this was back 2010. Shane Warren said that he saw what causes the death of the dollar, down 30, 30, 0, okay, was when they start selling oil in another currency other than the dollar. That happened June 9th of 2024, meaning we can see the dollar fall at any moment. Now, we can sit there and think, oh, well, everything's fine, we don't need Prophecy Club anymore. We don't need to hear none of these warnings. Or we can say, wait a minute. The prophecies are very near to coming to pass. On to the next one. Okay, then we got the BRICS problem. So these now 26 different nations have been saying they're going to go to a BRICS currency. Now, Biden had put a bunch of new sanctions on Russia and several other nations that has basically forced them to go around the dollar to do their international trades. And I have not heard that Trump has removed those sanctions yet, but I would like to think he would, so that Russia, the other BRICS nations, would not be so motivated to go around the dollar. But I haven't heard that that's happened. Now, ever since Trump said anybody that goes with the BRICS has got a 100% tariff put on all of their products coming to America, all of a sudden everything with BRICS comes to a screeching halt. But there's more. Hang on. Also, so here we are, as I covered in, I think it was yesterday's program, we may be attacking the Mexican cartels. So what happens? In one day, we take out the Mexican cartels, but all of a sudden that lights the fire of a bunch of Mexicans that haven't liked the Americans, their brothers to the north, for many years. And all of a sudden, we're in some kind of a big skirmish. The dollar starts falling. The oil goes up in prices. See what I'm saying? We could be in a lot of trouble really fast. On to the next one. Brandon Biggs. He's the guy that saw Trump shot in the ear, right ear, 3 months before it happened. He said that the Lord showed him that China is going to stop sending all products to America. Okay, so what happens? All of a sudden, China just stopped shipping anything to America, regardless of price. Have you looked at your clothing labels, where it's made? Do you know where the parts to your car and maybe even your car and parts to your house, your windows, your solar panels. I mean, these days, I'm just guessing, I'm going to say 70%, 60, 70, 80% of everything that we consume is made in China, aside from the price. If we can't get it, all of a sudden, dollar goes 30, 30, 0 real quick. See what I'm saying? I'm saying don't sit there and think Trump is going to fix everything. While his attempt to try to fix it is good, if God is not behind it, it might blow up in our face. And the prophecies say that's exactly what happened. Let's go on. Mexico, Canada, China, and EU and others raised their tariffs. Let's say they don't get afraid of America. They aren't afraid of Trump. And for a very good reason, by April the 2nd, I would say by the end of April, for very good reasons, they get mad. And they say, oh, yeah, you're going to play that? Well, here's what we're going to do. Mexico, Canada, and China, and EU that exactly they're not on the best terms with Trump and America right now. So we hit the cartels. Mexico's mad at us. Canada's already mad about us making Canada 51st state. China's mad. They're already paying 20% tariffs, I believe it is. EU, he's threatening EU. So all of a sudden, they just raise their tariffs. I mean, we could be in a world of hurt by the end of April. And I'm not trying to scare you. I guess I'm trying to say is, don't think Trump is the answer to everything. I think he wants to be. I think he's trying to fix it. But some of the people start fighting against the government. There's a lot of evil people in our nation that don't want the Christian nation fixed. They want the Christian nation to fall so they can raise up their communist nation, put their Antichrist on the throne. On to the next one. Doge. Now look, who does not want the corruption, the fraud, the inefficiency stopped? Well, a lot of people, apparently. So, all of a sudden, Doge hits a nerve, something goes wrong, and all of a sudden, the stock market crashes. I mean, already the stock market has been acting like it's on one wobbly leg already over what Doge has found. Maybe in his attempt to fix things, maybe it crashes. And, even Trump has said that we could go through a time of difficulty before everything gets fixed. Well, that time of difficulty could be very difficult. There's more, hang on. Israel, USA, attacking Iran. Okay, I just put in the program here, the last couple of days, that right now Israel and the United States are preparing to attack Iran. Trump sent a letter to Iran saying, you got 2 months, but you're not going to have a nuclear weapon. Okay, so that makes, we're at odds with Iran, also with Mexico, Canada, China, EU, Germany. I mean, right now, a lot of the world is angry with Trump and America. I mean, he's not like Ronald Reagan. Everybody likes him. He's kind of a bull in a china closet, okay? He's fighting for America. That's good. But he's not doing it in a way, I think you'll agree, he's not doing it in a nice, kind, gentle Ronald Reagan way. So Israel, USA attacks Iran. All of a sudden, oil prices jump. The dollar starts falling. All of these, that's 10 different reasons. All of these are very realistic, very viable, very probable ways that the dollar could fall. There's more. Hang on. So what if the massive arrests begin in April or even May? Doge was used to find fraud. Could it be that those people where Doge has found the fraud, Pam Bondi and her team, along with Kash Patel and his team, along with a bunch of others, I mean, they got thousands of agents, all of a sudden go in and there are already sealed indictments on most of them. We aren't talking about a few hundred people. We're possibly talking about over 1,000, who knows, maybe even 2,000 people being arrested, all for fraud. Okay, so USAID, you saw it, USAID, has sent out billions, not millions, billions of dollars. Well, Trump said some of it had to come back to the people whose fingers pushed the button. Some of them had to get a kickback. Pam Bondi is saying she's investigating every one of them. Trump says, look at the article behind me, okay? They will be held accountable. Could it be that Pam Bondi is about to add to those arrest warrants? Could it be that we're not just going to see the military arresting people, but also some civilian arrests? The military for the ones appropriate there, the civilian for the ones appropriate there. And in civilian court, of course, they have a right to remain silent, a silent right to an attorney if you can't afford one, want to be appointed for you. But military arrests, not so. You go before 3 military judges, and they can judge a whole bunch of people at the same judgment. And it's hard, fast, and it's pretty much final. You can appeal it, but it's pretty much final. All of a sudden, that dollar, a third down, third down, third down, and that's very realistic. Let's go on. Now, I've read this before, but this fits. I got to read this again. This is my favorite speaker of the 160 guest speakers. Matter of fact, Leslie's also. Out of the 160 guest speakers we had at Prophecy Club for over a 25-year period, he was our favorite speaker. At the direction of the Holy Spirit, he got a map and systematically walked up and down every street in the city, praying aloud, pulling down strongholds, praying in the Spirit, loosing the angels to do warfare. When he was done, he would go to a high point over the city, raise his hands, and reclaim the city for God. He said many times he saw that a revival would break out in the city, and he had some amazing stories. Matter of fact, he made like 6 DVDs for Prophecy Club, which you could go watch instantly at watchprophecyclub.com. Watchprophecyclub.com. Henry Groover. He will captivate you. You will say, oh, this guy was here from God. There's no question. Now, here's what he said. So he had a vision, and he said, March 2016, this is before the election. He said, I opened the door to see Donald Trump and his wife dressed like a king. His wife carrying a shawl over her left arm made of gold tweed with big royal jewels in it. Mr. Trump, to what do we owe the honor of your visit? He said, oh, Henry, never mind, we're family. This is just a family visit. I just came to see you. His wife sits down, puts his shawl over his shoulders and drapes it down in front of him and stands beside him. It is beautiful, made for royalty. The whole visit, just family. How they doing? Finally, he stood up and said, well, you know, I'll be back. I've got things to do. But he left his shawl behind. So Henry ran out into the street hollering at him, you left your shawl. Then he heard the voice again from behind him speak, saying, he'll be back. But now what is the vision saying? It's not saying he's coming back a president. And you do recall, this time, Trump did not put his hand on the Bible. There are those that say the reason he didn't put his hand on the Bible is because he was not swearing allegiance to the Constitution, to the all-capital United States of America, but that he is planning on swearing allegiance to the new Republic of the United States, and he'll be king. Because it may be that that's what it's going to take to get past all of these judges that are trying to stop him from cleaning up our nation. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, here's the actual executive order. Look at the top, December 20th, 2017. This is for blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse and or, look at that next word, corruption. Now look down in the purple area, the red area. Human rights abuse, corruption. So that gives them the authority. Now, this is not just civil. This is military. So with the military, of course, now Trump has the authority to use the military, not just on the southern border, any place. So right now, he could start arresting these bad people, and it's not civil. They don't have a right to an attorney. They don't have a right to remain silent. They're arrested military. They go before a military tribunal. It's hard, fast, swift justice right now. Now, here's the rest of it, but I want to go on. You remember this? 11/11/2019? He was getting out of his helicopter. The media came up asking him questions. He says, I caught them all. I caught all of this corruption going on. Now, here's another one. This is 9/7/24. And he says, this plotting is going to come to an end. It's going to come to an end. We're going to cash out the corrupt political class. We're going to restore our republic. Restore our republic? You see, it's complicated. But the all-capital United States of America is not what our founding fathers originally set it out to be. The international banksters changed it. I think it was like 1871 or something like that. They pulled a snafu and changed it. And word on the street is that it's going back to a republic. Remember, they keep saying we're democracy. We're not a democracy. And to the republic for which it stands, recognize those words? Corrupt political class, he's going to drain the swamp once and for all. We're going to get it done. Now, here's another one. This is recent. He says, massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, articles. What? What did he just say? This just says he may come back with the power and authority of a king. Remember, like Nebuchadnezzar, whom he would he slew, whom he would he kept alive, whom he would he lifted up, and whom he would he put down. In other words, total authority. That's what he's probably talking about. Here's the picture behind me. So this, he says, they're going to be held accountable. This is August of 24. Here's another one. He says they're going to be held accountable. They've got to be held accountable. What they're doing, they're destroying this country. They're crooked people. They're dishonest people. They're going to be held accountable. Here's another one. Donald Trump says, when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. What I'm trying to say is all of this trouble we've been talking about, been watching, been praying, possibly April. I hope we have longer than that. We might not. April, May, June, okay. Now, I looked this up. This is fresh. All of these numbers are fresh right off the internet just a few minutes ago. I want you to look at the arrows pointing to the top center. It says there's 484,000 sealed indictments. And I put the website up there. You can go up there and check it out for yourself. You can see it's well documented. They got lots and lots of documents to back up what they're saying. That means that it could be that by the end of April, May, June, I don't know when, we could start seeing massive amounts of arrests. Remember, I heard 4 words, massive arrests, massive arrests. So as far as I'm concerned, I think I have it thus saith the Lord. Massive arrests are coming. Now, I want to tell you a story. I think I've got time. Why is wheat God's famine food? Because you're about to need some food. And a lot of these long-term food storage places, they got a good deal on the food. And it's fine as long as it's in your attic, but if you have to pull it down to eat it, you might have a big problem. So here's what the scoop was. I looked it up. July the 8th of 2021, I had got a video from a lady saying that you should watch this. It's a woman standing in front of a church telling the benefits of making her own homemade whole wheat bread. So I spent $370. I bought some wheat, ground the ingredients. I started making my own bread. My wife didn't help. Then August 2nd, 2021, because of that, she says, well, if you're going to start making this bread, you need to order a bread machine because I'm not kneading any dough. So this is when I ordered a bread machine. This is when I started making my own homemade bread. Well, it wasn't too long, probably a month later, the Lord began to speak to my heart. And he began to say, this is my famine food. During the 7 years of famine, this is what fed the world. In other words, the best, I believe what he's saying is, the best food for the human body is wheat. That's what we're called. Remember the wheat versus the tares, okay? I want you to start telling people. That's what he spoke to my heart. I didn't hear I didn't have a dream or none of that stuff. And so I was impressed to start a company. I called it Joseph Kitchen, to teach and provide wheat for coming famine. Now, see that word teach? That's big. Because most people in America just buy their loaves of bread from the store, or whatever's at the store, that's fine with them. That's a big problem. Because the wheat in the stores has a lot of the nutrients taken out, and then of course they put in vitamins and back into it, trying to make it back to be good for you. But what I discovered was when I started making my own, this is what I had for breakfast this morning. I just finished eating a lunch, and it was made with this homemade whole wheat bread. I typically will have a slice or two, no more than two, because if I have three, then I have trouble sleeping that night because it has so much energy in it. You'll always eat at least a half a slice to a whole slice before I go play racquetball. Anyway, when I started eating it, here's what I noticed. That my hunger pangs were more like hunger, very subtle. In other words, it wasn't like, you're hungry, eat now. Okay. I was less hungry. I started losing weight. My blood pressure came down. And I had a lot of other health benefits. And there's a lot of people say get a lot of health benefits. The body starts getting the things that it needs. Then, when we started Joseph Kitchen, josephkitchen.com, the difference is most Americans don't know what they need to make homemade whole wheat bread. There's thousands of different varieties. If you order the wrong variety, it won't make bread. If you don't have the right recipe, if you don't have the right lecithin, if you don't have the right salt, if you don't do it right, then you don't have bread. You have a brick. And then, of course, you have a bad experience. You say, well, I can't make bread, okay? Can't make bread. Yes, you can. But there's a learning curve to it. But at Joseph Kitchen, we offer it. I say we. My daughter now owns it. They offer packages to show you how to do it. In other words, the wheat, the grinder, the bread machine, the measuring cups, the thermostat, everything you need, all in a package. So you order a machine package, then you order food for one person, two people, four people, six people for a year, depends on how much you want. Then they have videos, show you how to do it. They have recipes to show you how to, because it takes a little, you'll have some times where you didn't do something right and the wheat bread doesn't turn out. I don't think I've ever had to throw a loaf away, but there's a few of them like, well, I made it, I got to eat it because I didn't do it right, okay? So there's a little bit of a learning curve. So my point is, you want to go to josephskitchen.com right here. Joseph's with an S, josephskitchen.com. Right now they're offering site-wide free shipping, and some of this stuff's pretty heavy. That's a pretty nice discount. Also, there's a discount if you spend so much and you put in the promo code Prophecy, okay? I recommend you go to josephkitchen.com and get you some of this, and don't just put it in the corner someplace. Start making bread immediately. You'll make some bad loaves. You'll put in too much honey, or you'll put in not enough salt or something like this. You'll discover you got to follow that recipe. You got to follow that recipe pretty close, but if you'll do that, you will fall in love with making your own homemade whole wheat bread. josephskitchen.com.